What is up, everybody? You already know who it is. It's your boy, Mucho, and we are back with another reading from the Holy Scripture. With today's day being Genesis 18 to 20. 18 to 20. Alright? 1 second. My cat can be a little annoying when I'm trying to do my readings. I like to be alone with God when I do my readings and with you guys. Alright, so let's begin the reading from the Holy Scripture today. What is this? Appearance of heavenly visitors. Not long after Abraham has responded to God's instructions regarding circumcision, I can't even say it, tongue twister for me. God appears to Abraham in a form of a human visitor. With this manifestation, God two created angels also in human form. It is not clear whether Abraham immediately recognizes his Lord as being more than simply a personage of superior authority. If not, the visitors, divine nature beings to unfold to Abraham when a visitor seems to know not only Sarah's name, but also the innermost thoughts of her heart. When God announces to Sarah will soon bear a son, Sarah, who has been listening from the tent, laughs with disbelief, though perhaps with hopeful anticipation as well. When God questions her laugh, Sarah impulsively denies any expression of doubt. But when God insists that she is not telling the truth, Sarah stands silent and fearful recognition that his heavenly visitor has currently perceived her disbelief. The incarnation of God on this occasion and his announcement of a clearly supernatural birth are both predictive and of the promised spiritual heir of Abraham, and the freedom and joy of fellowship between God and man is witnessed in Abraham's hospitality to his heavenly guests, who now appear to Abraham as he relaxes in his tent, probably after his own midday meal. The hospitality towards visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre. While he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get their and of the finest flour, and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran into the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared, and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Sarah laughed about birth. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent. which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'I will really have a child now that I am old'? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." Destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. If God is portrayed by Sarah's impulsive deception, it is nothing to compare with the righteousness wrath he is soon to display against the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Jordan plain, presumably near what is today known as the Dead Sea. It is in Sodom that Abraham's nephew Lot lives with his wife and 2 daughters. So it is that understandable that when God tells Abraham he is going to destroy Sodom, Abraham should plead at least the righteousness in Sodom to be saved. But Abraham's humble yet bold intercession with God extends to even those outside Lot's family. Should they be found righteousness, God's response to Abraham's calculated bearings reveals God's sublime righteousness and mercy. God's extraordinary judgment against Sodom is apparently promoted by an uncommon wickedness, made all more repulsive because of the unnaturalness, violence, and presumptuousness with which its inhabitants' lives are filled. An example of their wickedness is found in the way in which the 2 angels are received as they arrive in Sodom and after they visit with Abraham. When Lot shares with them the hospitality and protection of his home, the men of Sodom demand that Lot release them to the angels, who they presume to be normal men, so that they might use the angels for sexual provisions. It is because of this innocent that the practice of homosexuality has ever since been associated with sodomites, although this particular depravity is not the only one in which they engaged. Even Lot seems not to have escaped the influence of Sodom's wickedness, although Lot here extends hospitality to the strangers and defends them courageously when they are threatened. His character is impulged when he offers to give his own daughters to the Sodomites for their pleasure in exchange for the safety of his guests. And when the angels tell of the impending destruction, Lot is hesitant to leave Sodom, perhaps because of the undue attachment to his material possessions. After being practically dragged out of the city by the angels, Lot, his wife, and 2 daughters are told by God to run for their lives and not look back. However, Lot's wife, who is apparently convinced but not converted, turns to view the destruction of the cities in the plain and herself destroyed. Whereas Sodom and Gomorrah are consumed with the rain of what they may have been bearing pitch or sulfur, Lot's wife turns into a pillar of salt. This account of destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah contains a wealth of insight into men's sinful state, as well as God's judgment and mercy. It shows that God's judgment, although markedly righteousness, is catastrophic, unexpected, and certainly complete. Thus, it calls sinful men to flee from his own unrighteousness without turning back to an inevitable moral destruction, but preserving until he is reached to the safety of God's promised rest. It is perhaps with these lessons in mind that as the three heavenly visitors now set out for Sodom, God anticipates the need to tell Abraham what he is about to do. As the one who is to become the father of God's chosen nation, Abraham needs to witness for himself the awesome judgment of God upon those who practice wickedness, and press on to future generations how terrible the consequences of sin really are. God tells about Sodom. When the men get up to leave, they look down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham? What am I about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised to him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great that the sin is grievous, that I will go down there and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." Abraham intercedes. The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteousness with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteousness people in it? Far it to be from you to do such a thing, to kill a righteousness with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far from it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "I will find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom. I will spare the whole place for their sake." And then Abraham spoke up, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again he spoke to him. What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30. Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord has finished speaking to Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Lot hospitable to the angels. To the angels arrived to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up and met them and bowed down with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night and go on your way early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they go with him and enter his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Sodomites and angels. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet with them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, do not do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with men. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you would like with them. But do not do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of our way," they replied. "This fellow came here as a foreigner, now he wants to pay the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They keep bringing pleasure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness so that they could not find the door. Lot warned of destruction. The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, son-in-laws, sons, or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we're going to destroy this place. The outcry of the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry up and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy it." But his sons-in-laws thought he was joking. Lot fled from Sodom. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife, your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and his hands of his wife and the hands of his daughters and led them to safety out of the city. For the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." Lot seeks refuge in Zoar. But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please, your servant has found a favor in your eyes, and you have shown us great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I cannot flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town called Zoar. By the time the Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Sodom destroyed. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and all the vegetation in the land. So when God destroyed the cities in the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he had brought Lot out of the catastrophic I can't even say it, catastrophic heat, but overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham viewed the destruction. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward the land of the plain. He saw dense smoke rising from the land, like the smoke from a furnace. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was today's reading. Quick reflection time. Let me think. So, I don't know, I like to paint the pictures. I kind of want to see, I wish I could just see a video. Sometimes it's an imitation of how they thought it went out to be. I really don't know what to say. I always do that every time. Every time I always want to talk and reflect on it, but I'm always baffled by the story. The power to rain down on cities, the wickedness and shit. You would think that would happen now. I know it's crazy to say, but hey, I don't know. So I'm just stuck. I guess another day of me just reflecting back on this on myself. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I do my best. I hope you guys know that. I know I sound like a clown. Sound like the kid out of Billy Madison, but I'm trying to work on the stuttering. Alright, thank you guys for watching and listening. I really do appreciate it. If you guys could go down and hit subscribe do that for me. I'm trying to hit 10,000. Help me live my dreams and reach my goal for the year. I really do appreciate it. Alright, and you already know who it is. It's your boy, Mucho, and it's time for me to skedaddle on out of here. Peace.